I hope I fooled you. You look pretty stupid doing that. But I am going out on the internet. So, yeah, I don't know. Stupid, maybe. Fun, yeah. Tricked you. You know, like answer machines. If anybody knows what answer machine is, used to put a message on there and go, hello? Hello? Is anybody there? And of course, the person that was calling you, they didn't realize they were talking to an answering machine or a device that recorded their, message. And they would go, hey, can you hear me? Can you hear me? And then you'd say, oh yeah, this is my stupid machine. Leave me a message. And, then they'd probably be all mad, just hang up on you. Never leave you a message. But Thursday again. Welcome to the Minutes with Milo show, Thursday night episode. And I appreciate you coming. Checking it out live, I hope. If you are, leave me a comment in the chat, live chat. There we go. And we can chit chat. Or leave me a comment after you watch it tomorrow, the next day, next month, next week. Leave me a comment. I do see the comments eventually. I don't get a lot of comments, to be honest with you, which makes me sad, very sad. But I do check them. Not as regularly as I should. If you would leave me more comments, I would check them more regularly. So it's all your fault, really. I mean, when you boil down to it, it's all your fault. It's not my fault. It's your fault. Leave me more comments. I'll comment back. And we'll get to know each other. But like, subscribe to the channel. Leave comments. Turn the notification bell on. I always try to put a little notification out that I'm going to have a show. Or that I've put up a video, or maybe even a podcast. Garthog, what's going on? There's my regular, my only regular anymore. I don't know where Robert's at. I'm going to have to text him. I meant to text him tonight, but I got caught up in this doing research for my sad report that I have to make. You can tell by the title of the show. One of my favorite car shows has been canceled. And I don't know why. Just as a side note real quick, I don't know if you know this, they also canceled a bunch of other shows, and amongst them was Derek's Roadworthy Rescue Show. And hell, it's only been on 2 seasons. Right? So one season's out there, and I think he's got another season, as they call it, in the can. But yeah, that's canceled. So, little backstory. I hope, you may not know, I like cars. I talk about crazy stuff on here. I don't talk about cars a lot. We looked for projects a couple of times on Facebook, and so if you looked at and kept up any with that's not supposed to be there. The videos, the streams, I've mentioned in there that I like cars, and it's more fun to hunt and daydream about the project and what it could be than to actually buy a project and try to make it that. But the hosts of RoadKill started this as a kind of a fun YouTube thing, and it took off. And why? Because they're just a couple of guys that took some cameras, recorded what they were doing. Now, that's true, they worked for a big magazine, and at first this was just kind of I won't say a side gig, but it was just a little something that they they got kind of caught up in. But they're the type of people that one of their mottos, they've had several, but one of them is, don't get it right, just get it running. And that's true. And so I haven't been very good about it because I don't have hardly any of my projects running. And I get caught up in that. I want to get it right before I put it on the road. That's my bad. But anyway, so I started watching them back way, way back on YouTube. And then it went from YouTube to the Motor Trend channel. And then you had to pay. Well, I didn't care. I paid. And I watched. And then there were spin-off shows. You know how these things are. There was, you know, RoadKill Garage. And there's Hot Rod Garage. And I used to watch Hot Rod Garage when they were on there. It's been a whole, I don't know, transition for these guys. And I've watched it, and they've followed them across all their platforms. And it's a really good show because they don't script it. It's not 2 or 3 takes. They started out with a couple of cameras and just themselves, and as they got more popular, they got, you know, a camera crew, a couple of guys, not like a crew, a couple of guys that would follow them around with the recording equipment, videotaping the breakdowns, the fixing them in the parking lot, in the rain, the snow. It's crazy. And they would only turn to help from the camera crew if there was no other way. If they couldn't fix it with duct tapes or zip ties or people stopping alongside the road and going and getting them parts, if they couldn't fix it that way, then they would rely on the camera crew. So Garthog, I watched it all the time when it was on YouTube before they went behind the paywall. Well, I was lucky my wife liked them, and so we got to pay. And it used to be, when it was on YouTube, they come out, I don't know, maybe once a month or twice a month. It was pretty regular. And then when they went to the Motor Trend and the channel where you had to pay, they went into what typically is TV in seasons. So you wouldn't have any RoadKill for, months, and then they would come out with a new season, and it would drop videos, 10 or 12 or 13 of them, whatever it was in their season, and then you had to wait. Well, while you were waiting for RoadKill to come back, they would have like RoadKill Garage, and then between RoadKill Garage, they picked up some other ones, Roadworthy Rescues. And so it was almost always, but there were always these hands-on guys, not a big fancy shop, not like the old Gas Monkey Garage and some of these other ones. There's right now there's several out there, Bitchin' Rides, some of these other, and I'm not knocking them. I like to watch them, because they build really nice cars and they custom make all this stuff, and they do a good job, but it is pretty much, scripted. They might record this for a week and then they go to something else and they'll come back and record this, and they just showed us one episode, and you start thinking, well, they can build, $100,000 car in a matter of a couple of months. Well, you don't know. The daggone filming may have taken 8 or 9 months or a year, or you just never really know. But I always liked the RoadKill style because they always did this in a week, and sometimes, and they would tell you, it's like, well, the truck broke down. It's 2 months later. We went back to Arizona to get it, and now we've got the time and the parts. We're going to put the truck back together, and then we're going to finish our road trip to California or wherever it is they were going. So they were always upfront about it. Only thing I didn't like about it, and it was probably because the reason they did it, the one thing I didn't like about it is because I wanted to know how much they spend. Every once in a while they would tell you, we bought this car sight unseen. They would see pictures of it, like off Facebook or Craigslist or, word of mouth. But, they would say, oh, well, we got it for $2,500. You know, they never did really tell you when it was all said and done how much money they had in it, and I don't know why. It may have been something to do with their, their production. I have no idea. I always wanted to know though, and every once in a while they'd tell you, well, we spent X number of dollars on this, but they would never really break it down so you could just start tallying up and go, holy cow, they got $15,000 in that piece of junk. They never did that, and that's probably one of the reasons, is because some of the things they did I know had to be more expensive than what it looked like on the show. Because, one of the things they would do was they put a supercharger on a V8 swapped Jaguar in the parking lot of I don't know if it was an O'Reilly's or an Advance Auto or wherever it was. They did it in the parking lot. I'm hoping the people watching this have seen some of the roadkills. If you haven't seen some of the roadkills, go to YouTube. There's still free channels out there, or free channels, still free episodes out there, and watch some of them. You just got to. If you like cars, even if you don't like cars, if you like real life situational comedy, it turns out to be that way, because these guys, and they would go into the parts store, and I assume with a credit card, and they would come out with, a portable toolbox and rags and oil dry and jugs to catch the oil in, all the stuff they needed. And then at the end of the show, sometimes they would just throw it in the back of the car, and I've actually saw them auction the car off, not the Jaguar, but certain cars. I've seen them go to a drag strip, and at the end of the race or end of the show or whatever, people would be gathered around and goes, "Who wants to give me $200 for this junk?" It's like, they probably spent like $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 on the trip, the parts, the car itself, the hotel rooms, all that stuff, and there they were. They would be selling it for whatever people had in their pockets. It was crazy. But anyway, let's see. They always made it seem everyone could drag one out of the weeds and drive it in a million miles home. Some others tried to do the same thing but failed. And Derek's really good at that. I mean, he's been doing it for years. Derek of Vice Grip Garage, and he's the one that they got into Roadworthy Rescues. RoadKill did some of that, buying them in the junkyard and then buying parts from the junkyard and getting them working and trying to drive them home. But sometimes they would buy. Garthog, did you ever see the episode where they got a Chevrolet Monza? It had a V8 in it. They drove it to, I can see his face. He's on Street Outlaws. They drove it to his garage, and they put leaf blowers, 2-stroke leaf blowers, in the hatch. The Monza was a hatchback. They put 2-stroke leaf blowers, like 4 or 5 of these things, in the hatchback of this, ran them all, the blowing nozzles, all into a pipe and into the carburetor, and supercharged that Monza with like 5 leaf blowers in the back of that thing, and then ran it. It was crazy. Jeff Lutz. They took it to Jeff Lutz's shop. I don't know where it's at. He races on Street Outlaws. He's got a place in Oklahoma, and I think he's got a place in Pennsylvania. But anyway, those are the kind of crazy things they did. And so, it's a good show. It's funny. I like cars. It really inspires. It's inspired a lot of people to do things. But for some odd reason, Motor Trend sold out I don't know all the particulars, so it went from a Motor Trend app to have to go to Discovery Plus to see it a few months back. And then they started canceling it. They canceled that, and like I said, they canceled some of the really the homegrown faster. It used to be faster with Finnegan, and now it's faster with Mike and Cotton. The Roadworthy Rescues, RoadKill Garage, Hot Rod Garage, I think, with Lucky Costa and Alex Taylor, real nice fast drag racer. They canceled a lot of those shows, and I just can't see that they weren't making any money. I don't know, but now all those, it's just this whole group of things they all revolved around average shop, nothing fancy, buying parts, fixing cars, and always doing it that way, and then driving them, drag racing them, road racing them, uh, land speed record racing these things. It was all across the board. They did all kinds of things with them. Ice drag racing. They've done all kinds of stuff with these things. Dropped a Prius out of an airplane. Maybe it was a Prius. They ran over a Prius with a tank. All kinds of crazy stuff. So it's been on RoadKill specifically. It's been on 13 seasons. And now all those people, me and my wife were talking about it. I would say host-wise, they got rid of like 5 different people, 5 different hosts, lost their jobs. The people that were the cameraman, the editors, the producers, the travel people, all these people that were behind the scenes doing all the work, they all lost their job. And I know we're not talking about, thousands of people losing their jobs like when they closed down the automakers plants. But still, those people were making a good living, doing their daily lives, and then boom, canceled it. And I would say that there's got to be at least 100 people that were involved either in production, behind the scenes, office work, all those kind of things all put together. I bet you there's 100 people that no longer will have the job. Now, they've got some episodes of these shows that are going to still be coming out, but they're not making any new ones. That's the reason it's canceled. They're not producing any new shows. So all these guys are now going to be on YouTube. So maybe in a minute we'll try to go through, look up these people so you can kind of see who they are, what their YouTube channel's like, and I've got 37 followers, but if 15 of those people went and started following some of these, they all have merchandise, they all do that kind of stuff. That's more than what they'd had before. But anyway, if you read the little snippet that I put in my title, not in the title, but in the description, I had the opportunity to actually be on an episode of RoadKill, and I think it was in 2019 when another automotive event happened called Power Tour came to the Bristol Motor Speedway. Now, I tried to find the video on YouTube, and I couldn't find that specific episode of RoadKill on YouTube, so I can't show it to you. I wished I could, but I did find some snapshots or screenshots, whatever you want to call it, of when I was actually on the show. So the premise of this, so just a little backstory on Power Tour. It's kind of like a running car show, and you start out at one venue and you take your really nice or old car, whatever it is you're driving, and you take it to another venue for a day, and then you leave that one, you go to another one, you leave that one, you go to another one. So they kind of travel around, and at the different venues they do different things. Like I think when they came to Bristol, they did I think this time they did some drag racing. But it's basically, like I said, a traveling car show. And some people make all the tour stops. Some people only make one. Some only make two or three, whatever it might be. But this particular year, RoadKill was involved. David Freiberger, Mike Finnegan have always been the two main hosts or characters, whatever you want to say, in or on RoadKill. Always. David Freiberger, Mike Finnegan have always been the main guy. So they were traveling around, and the premise for their show for RoadKill this time is they were going to go to every track, every location, and when they got there, they wanted to trade a car they had for another car at the venue, at the event, and take that car to the next one. When they got there, they were going to trade it there for another one and trade it and trade it and trade it, trade it until they got to the end. All right? So Bristol was, I think, was it the first stop? It was Bristol was the first stop they traded. I think it came to Bristol from somewhere else, but when it got to Bristol, RoadKill was there, and I think that was the first stop that they wanted to trade. And they had a 72 Ford Maverick that was in a previous episode of RoadKill, and it was a four-door, a 302 V8, automatic, pretty much stock, okay? And they, on the previous episode that this car was in, it was the Cheap Car Challenge, and they beat the far out of these cars. The Maverick, they had a Chevy Love truck, I think. They had a Ford Crown Vic. I think they may have had an S10. They had something else. But anyway, they did all kinds of things to those. And I think that was episode 95. And then, yeah, Dulcis is a cool dude. He was on RoadKill Garage. He's out of a job too, but I never really know. Dulcich is a strange character in his own right. But so they came to Bristol. They had the Maverick. They nicknamed it Goose because one thing, it was a Maverick. So if you ever saw Top Gun, Maverick and Goose, okay? The second thing was they never expected the Maverick to live through the first episode it was on. So Goose, I don't think it's a spoiler for anybody, Goose didn't live through the movie Top Gun. So they didn't think this Maverick was going to live through that episode, so they nicknamed it Goose. Okay? So they brought Goose to Bristol, and I knew they were coming, and I knew the premise of it was to trade a car at Bristol and then drive that car, I think, to Kentucky was the next stop. So I had, for years, I've had, at the time I did have, I say, how long had I had that truck? I had a 79 Jeep J10 that I used when I was building the house to pull logs, pull trees, to haul firewood, cut up trees, do all this other stuff in the woods. So it was a four-wheel drive. I picked it up for like $750 years ago, 6-cylinder, 3-speed, and I hardly did anything to it, just drove it. We hauled, appliances in it. We hauled building materials in it. The floor of the bed was rusted completely. It had these really thick rubber conveyor belt material pads in the bed of it, cut out in the shape of so the fenders, the wheel well stuck through. But anyway, if you lifted them up, you could see the road through there. There wasn't any metal left in this thing. So anyway, I had it. I hadn't been driving it in a long time. My son, he named it Maxwell. I had taken the bed off of it I sold the bed for about a half of what I paid for the whole truck, believe it or not. And so it didn't have a bed on it. I'd been driving it to and from work with the same tires on it that it had when I bought it. And like I said, it was just a 6-cylinder 3-speed. So I'd been trying to sell it, and I couldn't sell it on Craigslist or anything. So I still had it. And I was driving it to work. And it ran and drove okay. So I told my wife, I said, I'm going to take off work. And she goes, I'll take off work too. We'll go to Power Tour and we'll see, just show up and see if maybe we can get in and trade the Jeep for this Maverick. And so it rained the day Power Tour came to Bristol. Not like super hard, but pretty much on and off all day. I almost didn't go, but I had the Jeep. I was ready to go. I told her, I said, let's just go. Yeah. He was or still is, I guess you're talking about Vulture. He is or was a freelance writer that David Freiberger hired to do some freelance work for Hot Rod Magazine, and they became friends. And they're both Dodge lovers. But if I can get to showing on YouTube some of these hosts' channels, David Freiberger put out a video a couple of days ago that kind of outlines his whole cycle, his career cycle from where he started out in magazines as a early 20s dude, whatever, how he got involved in the car scene, how he met Mike, how he met Steve Dulcich, how he met all these people, and how it became to get RoadKill to when they canceled it. So that's a pretty good video that gives a lot of background. So anyway, it rained on and off all day. It wasn't a very pretty day. It wasn't a very nice day. But we went anyway. And it didn't cost us anything to get in. So parked the truck. We got out. We're walking around. And we're walking around trying to find David Freiberger and Mike Finnegan. We don't know where they're at. So I have Instagram, Facebook, and stuff. We're trying to keep up, find out where they are. And so by wandering around the track, I saw another person that I followed on YouTube, Emily Reeves, and trying to remember her YouTube channel now. But I saw her and her husband Aaron, and Blind Sparks Garage is the YouTube channel. And I'd watched her and her husband had a 280Z that they worked on, and I love that car. So I started watching her channel because I got a 280, so on and so forth. So I introduced myself, said, hey, how you doing? Very nice people, very nice lady. And I told her why we were there. And she goes, well, I don't know where they are, because she knows them. Because I don't know where they are. And I said, well, thanks for talking to us, taking some pictures, and we're going to go. So anyway, I didn't know it. We finally found out where Goose was. And then they started showing up. And everybody starts gathering around. And I'm standing there waiting for them to say, well, who wants to trade? And everybody's, just looking around. I said, man, I'll trade you. And they said, what? Because there was hardly anybody there. It was raining. I was the only one that stepped up and said, I'm willing to trade. And I didn't know it before, but Emily had texted them or messaged them and said, hey, I met a guy and he's here and he wants to trade. I was the only one that showed up to trade. So what did they do? Well, they didn't have much of a choice. They traded. They had to. But I had a couple of things in my favor. David Freiberger loves four-wheel drives. He loves Jeeps. And he doesn't care if they're V8s or 6s or whatever. Okay? So I traded them. And we got to be on the show. I talked with him for a minute. My wife didn't really get to talk with him, but she was in the background. And so we drove home in the Maverick with a plastic tag on the back, just some paperwork in hand saying, that we now own the car from this production company, right? And it was raining. I'd never driven this car at all before. Anyway, and it took, I finally got a title for the car. I'll put it that way. But I was really sweating it because, man, I had the title and I signed it over, to the production crew or whatever. So they had my truck and title, everything. And it was kind of crazy. I couldn't believe when we were pulling out of the track, getting ready to go home, I looked at my wife and I said, I think this is the craziest shit I've ever done. And so it was, nuts. We got it home. I stopped at the store to get some cold snacks. It wouldn't start. Had to have it jumped off. Not a good sign. But it was a fun car. So let me see. Let me put my glasses on. And I'll show you just a couple pictures to show that I ain't making this up. If I can get my computer to stop making a liar out of me. All right. So we'll start out with Goose. Okay. Where am I? Where am I? There it is. Those dogs downstairs are killing me. I know you can't hear them, but I can hear them, and they just drive me insane to listen to them bark and yip. All right, there we go. Bam. Now that was Goose. That is the 4-door 72 Maverick. And see this little piece of, uh-oh, where'd you go? Oh, get out of my way. There we are. See this here? That was a toolkit that they had bought and were using it for a wheel chock to keep it. It's on a slight decline. And this is rust. Let's see, can I scoop that up? No, shoot, no. Can I scoop that up? There we go. Get that in. This little piece right here, that's rust, man. The door, this is kind of the strangest car I'd ever owned. From the floorboards up, it was solid. The floorboards in this car were perfect. I don't know if they'd been replaced because it was undercoated with that spray undercoat from front to back. The whole thing was undercoated. You open the hood and they had, instead of spray painting the interior engine bay, they had bed lined it or undercoated it with that same stuff. And then they'd put that 302 in there, and it was a nice 302, chrome valve covers, chrome front drive stuff, everything. They didn't have the power steering belt on it. I guess it kept throwing it, so I had to drive it home. Disc brakes all the way around. It no shocks, no springs. I had to do a lot of work on this thing. But anyway, the floorboards were perfect, but the body was, and it was a California car. They picked this up from a place in California. The body was rotting off of this thing. All right, so this is Goose. What's the next one? Let me, that is too big, gentlemen. Come on, really? Again with this? Okay, so let me just cut off the hosts. That is my J10 truck. That is the Jeep truck. No bed. See, no bed on it. It's four-wheel drive. These are the tires. These are like grabbers, and I can't remember the name of the manufacturer, but they were called grabbers. All-terrain grabbers. Who made those things? Anyway, I'd had them forever. Had a push bumper on it. It was a cool truck, especially when it had a bed on it. It looked really good, and it was a short bed. Looked really good with the bed on it. But I'd planned on putting a flatbed, making a steel flatbed out of it. And so I didn't mind selling the other bed. And I'd bought the stuff to do it. I just had never gotten around to it. Imagine that. Never gotten around to it. All right. So let me position that there. David Freiberger, Mike Finnegan, and here's Goose in the background. Now, I don't know where I'm at in this picture. Obviously, I am not there. I'm not in the background. I'm not anywhere to be seen. So I don't know where I was when they were taking this picture, but I'm not there. Let's go. Here I am. That's me. If you can't recognize me after watching this video for 30 minutes, then please wear these and go to your optometrist. So I had a Mike Finnegan hat, Finnegan Speed and Marine FSM. I had the RoadKill shirt on. I had my work pants and stuff on. I just come from work. I'd actually changed shirts and hat because that's not where I work. But anyway, so Freiberger and Finnegan. No, they didn't give me the shirt. I already had the shirt. And let's see. I don't know who this gentleman is. There was people all around trying to get them to sign things. They're pretty well known in the car community. So there's some more of Goose. I've got lots of pictures of Goose, but they signed the license plate. I could show you the license plate. In California, where the car came from, a totally different setup of how cars are handled, all this kind of stuff. But in some states, you just get a daggone plastic tag that has the dealer's name on it, and you drive out of the dealership with just one of their tags on there. Some places don't even have what they call a temporary tag. But anyway, man, it's a story about what I had to do to get a tag for this thing, or a title for it. But if you can see, I don't know if you can see this or not. Let me see how good the picture this is. Mike's buttocks. All right, if you can see this over here, let's see if I can zoom in a little more. This area up in here, I put duct tape because there was rust holes in here that you could put your finger in and go into the roof line. The top part of this car was just terrible, man. Just terrible. I couldn't believe that it had a dent in it, but I couldn't believe how bad that was. How bad the car was. And then, let's see, I skipped this one. This is us again, but with the backside of my head. So, there's my truck. Sometimes I wished I had it back, but I ended up selling Goose to a guy in Indianapolis. His YouTube channel is Street Rat, R-A-T, Street Rat Garage. He owns 3 or 4 of these cars, the cars that were in this Power Tour trade and swap deal. He owns Goose. He owns the house painted Belvedere. I think he still owns the Pontiac Fiero that was set up and painted an olive drab, set up to do like off-roading things with big tires on it. I think he still owns that. And I was thinking he picked up another car from this thing. He tried to buy the Jeep truck from the guy that has it. As far as I know, the guy still has it. But anyway, let's go from here straight back into YouTube. Let's see if we can bring this up. All right, so we've been at it 41 minutes, and I said I would try to bring this up. All right, so all right, there's my channel. Let's see. David. All right, down here he is. All right, so oh, I hate me some commercials. This is his YouTube channel. The David Fryburger. Right here. The David Fryburger on YouTube. Let's see if I can get that a little better for you. Okay, so The David Fryburger on YouTube. So he's kind of the main guy. This is the Garthog. This is the video that he put out describing how he got started in cars, how he got hooked up with the magazine, how RoadKill came about, and all that kind of stuff. So if anybody that's watching the video, if you want a good history on this, this is a good video to watch. The David Fryburger. All right. So I know the other one, Finnegan's Garage. Okay. This is Finnegan's Garage. He is the other host. Mike Finnegan. Man, he does all kinds of stuff. He's got this 55 Chevy. It's got a blown Hemi in it. Awesome car. He's actually given this station wagon, him and the guy that works with him on the YouTube channel are building this 57 wagon. They're going to turn it into a gasser, and you can get chances to win this by buying merchandise. So Mike's YouTube channel's bigger than David's because he's been working at it longer. Freiberger really just got back into YouTube probably a month or so ago, and I think he knew what was going on, but he couldn't say, because he would just, every once in a while, he'd put something on his YouTube channel, and then about probably a month ago, he really started pumping out some videos again. And I thought, well, man, that's strange, you know? He's so busy with all the things that he does. How does he have time to put out YouTube videos? He either knew the writing was on the wall or he knew it was coming. He could see the writing on the wall or he knew it was coming. Yeah, on his t-shirt, on Freiberger's t-shirt, that is the firing order for a small block Chevy, I think. I'm pretty sure it's a Chevy. It may be Dodge, but I'm pretty sure it's a small block Chevy. And he put that together as a joke, and it's probably, he says, I think it's one of his best-selling t-shirts. So that's Finnegan. Some of the other shows that got canceled. Lucky's Garage. He was a host of Hot Rod Garage. He's based out of California. He does some really good stuff too. All these guys are top-notch fabricators, pretty much. I say top-notch. You'd be happy with the work that they would do, you know, on your car. So he does a lot of stuff. He's got shops in California, but he's not open. He's not like a shop where you could make an appointment. None of these people are, except for Mike Cotton. I'll show you Mike Cotton in a minute. But none of these guys have a shop where you could walk in, talk to the lady behind the counter, and say, I would like Mike Finnegan or David Freiberger or Lucky Costa to do work on my car. It's either their stuff, it's their friend's stuff, or it's a friend of a friend's stuff. That's pretty much all they do. And now, since they've lost their TV gig, it's all this stuff that they're doing is going to be on YouTube. So Lucky Costa, followed him for a long time. He's got lots of stuff out there because he's been doing it a long time. Now, just to stay with that one, his current host on Hot Rod Garage is Alex Taylor. And her riding with Alex Taylor, she is, I won't say professional, but she's a drag racer. Her whole family, her dad is a fantastic fabricator. Her sister does her camera work, photographs, all that kind of stuff. So, Dennis Taylor has his own YouTube channel now. That's just come out recently. He's the guy you see right here. That's her dad. But riding with Alex Taylor, I think they're out of Arkansas. I think that's where their shop is in Arkansas. So she was the co-host with Lucky Costa on Hot Rod Garage. And then I know Vice Grip. Vice Grip Garage is Derek. Well, I don't even attempt to say his last name. But this guy is the one in my book. If you like I went and bought it, I get it to run, and I drive it 700 miles home. If you like those style of videos, you like that kind of, take a chance on the thing, this is your guy. This is your guy. So the latest one he's done is he bought this CRX out of people he knows in Florida, got it running, did some work on it, and drove it from there to Middle Tennessee. So 700 miles. Okay. If you can see, these are all things that he's bought and brought back to life. Crazy stuff. All right. So he's giving a car away. If you can see this Nova here in the background, I mean, see that Nova up on the lift there? He's giving that away. So you can go buy merchandise and get, yeah, okay, you got the CRX for free and it didn't run. Well, I think he made a donation in the guy's name. The guy that passed away that had the CRX died, and to get the car, yeah, he got it for free, but he agreed to make, I think, a donation to that guy's charity, something he was working with, because he said that, I was watching the video and he said he made the donation that day, and that was the agreement. He got the car and he made the donation to some charity. So you can get a chance to win the Nova. But this guy is like, if you like like I said, if you want I pulled it out of the weeds, I got it to run. He does, 99% of them are carbureted. Now the CRX wasn't, because it kind of stays, because he ran into a lot of trouble with fuel injected computers, lots of different things like that. That's not as easy to fix in the backyard as like a carburetor. You take carburetor off, put you another carburetor, bigger or smaller. As long as it fits, you get it to run and he'll drive it. You know, so mostly older muscle cars. I saw him buy a Lamborghini that was made out of wood one time. Interesting. You just got to see these. All right, so then let's see. Steve Dolchitz, he's got a YouTube channel, but he doesn't put anything out there. I think he's got a vineyard that he runs or something. Yeah, the Lambo caught fire. This damn thing's made of wood. What do you expect? So we can't do him. Let's go with, now I don't even know if Mike Cotton has a YouTube channel. He actually has, yeah, okay. He has a shop, an honest to gosh, bring your car in and I'll work on it type of shop. Midwest Paint and Metal. Okay. Mike Cotton is his name. All right. So if you see this right here, 3 years ago, he put a video out. And he doesn't do, because like I said, he has a business. He runs a shop somewhere near, I think it's in Illinois. See, he's only got 3,500 subscribers. But, so apparently he doesn't do a lot on, and I don't expect to see him pick up his YouTube channel much, because he's got his own business. May not need it, doesn't have time for it or whatever. But he may, because there used to be Faster with Finnegan, and then Finnegan had too many irons in the fire. He says, I want to spend more time with my family. And he would work with David Newbern and Mike Cotton on that show. So then Motor Trend kept it alive and called it Faster with David and Cotton, or Newbern and Cotton. Faster with Newbern and Cotton. So let's look at David Newbern. All right. 12 volt Dave. Now, I haven't watched a lot on his YouTube because I follow so many YouTube channels that I don't get to keep up with all of these. It's crazy. I don't know. It's hard to watch all these. But this is his channel. David Newburn, 12 volt Dave. He's got 74,000. All right, so 102 videos. I'm sure he'll be picking it up too. I don't know a lot about. Okay, so Mike Finnegan had that 55 Chevy that has the Hemi in it called Blasphemy. And he takes it on drag week. If you don't know what drag week is, look it up. They race different tracks. So they came to Bristol and trying to get the story straight. He met Newburn on drag week. I think Newburn's Nova broke down. Finnegan was helping him. They stayed in Bristol till like 2 a.m. Somebody was bringing them parts to fix Newburn's Nova. I think they put a whole nother short block in it, another engine in it, got it running, and they became fast friends. So then when Mike moved from California, Mike Finnegan moved from California to Georgia, he was actually, when they met each other, Newburn and Mike met, they were almost like they were just about an hour apart. So then Mike started really doing stuff with his YouTube channel and needed help, and so he was paying Newburn to help him build these cars. And then that's how they got into Faster with Finnegan. And then, of course, Newburn was driving the hour back and forth to Mike's place to do the work. He quit his job that he was doing to do this car thing with Finnegan full time. Then Finnegan backs out of the Faster with Finnegan. So Newburn and Cotton start doing that. So they've got that TV show. And then Newburn starts picking up more and more on his YouTube channel because, you know, he's not getting paid by Finnegan. He's getting TV, but that's not constant money because, you know, they're on seasons. So he started picking up more of his YouTube channel. And so I haven't watched a lot of it because, like I said, I've got so much other things that it's just, I could watch YouTube, and I do. I watch too much YouTube. Anyway, David Newburn, Mike Cotton, David Freiberger, Mike Finnegan, Vice Grip Garage, Lucky Costa, Alex Taylor. There's another guy. He used to be on Hot Rod Garage, and he separated from Hot Rod Garage, moved from, because he was going back and forth from Pennsylvania to California to make those to make the Hot Rod Garage show. Tony D'Angelo, or Angelo, Tony Angelo. D'Angelo was something else. His YouTube channel is Stay Tuned. All right, Tony Angelo. Yeah, Stay Tuned. TA. TA 96, Trans Am 1996, Trans Am something. I can't remember what that. He was a pro drift racer before he got all these things. And if you look up his YouTube channel, he's got a thing in there that goes through his pedigree, whatever you want to call it, how he got into cars, how he got into pro racing, drifting, how he got in with the Hot Rod Garage and all this other kind of stuff. So he does good. He put an LS in the back of a Porsche 911. He's putting a V12, I think a V12 Jag motor in a Fox body Mustang. So he does some crazy things. There it is. A V12 Fox is back. He worked with Lucky Costa. These guys are, well, of course, Tony's been out of Motor Trend for a while, but the other guys and gals, other than Tony, are all out of jobs now. And so, you know, if you like cars, those are some of the ones that really do some good stuff. They do it, I can't say really on a budget. If you want budget stuff, you got to stick with David Freiberger, and if he hooks back up with Steve Dulcich, those guys swap, trade. They take, uh, V8s out of, junkyards and things like that, and they make it work. Now, their idea of low buck is not my idea of low buck, so just keep that in mind. It's relative. I would never pay, I won't say never, but I don't think I would ever pay, $4,000 or $5,000 up for an engine. Okay. Just as a side note, this guy, Tony Angelo, bought an old NASCAR engine that had been slightly modified to do drag racing for 12 grand. I'm pretty sure 12 grand's what he paid for that. And now he's put it into his 55 Chevy. Let me see if I can get that to come up. It's the video right here. All right, so swapping an 800 plus horsepower NASCAR V8 into his 1955 Chevy. I mean, it's a legit NASCAR motor. It's got a pedigree. It actually did some racing. It was bought if you know anything about NASCAR, which I don't, just what he told me. After they run so much, they get tired. Sometimes they'll refresh them, but a lot of times they just sell them outright. A lot of places in North Carolina where NASCAR's hub is will have these things for sale, and he just found it, bought it off the guy that had it modified. I don't know what he did to it for drag racing, but he bought it and put it in this thing, and it's got a dry sump oil pump in it. It's crazy. But, that's what they're doing now. The guys that got laid off or canned, whatever, how you want to say it, they've all turned to YouTube. And, I can't blame them. That's what they've done. That's their, I guess, skill set now. I'm sure Finnegan and Freiberger could go back to writing magazine articles and stuff because that's what they did before. And maybe they will do some of that. I don't know. I have no idea. So I didn't show you this, but I had pulled up Wikipedia. They started RoadKill in 2012, and it was on YouTube until 2018. Then it went to Motor Trend Motor Trend, and then I don't know when, but it went to Discovery Plus. In 2015, the show was picked up and started being sponsored by Dodge, and they, which was a pretty good fit because Freiberger's a Dodge nut, Mopar nut. So they did RoadKill Nights, which was powered by Dodge in Detroit. I can't remember the street. They closed the street and drag raced on that. See, that's part of the reason I can't believe that they're canceling these, because there were so many spin-offs from this show when it was picked up by Dodge, all this other kind of stuff. It's crazy. RoadKill had a magazine. So it was announced that due to the closure of Motor Trend Productions, which is the TV side of Motor Trend, RoadKill and its spin-off shows would no longer be renewed for additional seasons. For some reason, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking somebody's going to come along. They're going to pick up the RoadKill name. They're going to pick it up, and they're going to put it out as some type of new production. So I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe they will. I don't know. I hope they do, because it was a great show. I love the show. In fact, I think I may go back, if I ever get time, go back and start watching. I watched the very first episode last weekend, even before this came out, just because I wanted to see it again, which is crazy. They did some crazy stuff. But anyway, I'm hoping they'll take that and put it back on YouTube so people can just watch it without having to, because I'm going to, as soon as the series is over, the last show's done. I think I'm canceling my subscription because that's the only thing I really watch. I'm going to cancel my subscription to Motor Trend or Discovery Plus or whatever and be done with it. Cletus, he would be a good fit. You know, God, that boy's got his, fingers into everybody's pie. Airplanes, round track, drag racing, all kinds of stuff going on with that guy. He's helicopter flying. It's all, just there. All right, so a new person. I'm sorry, I can't pronounce that name. MwM. Checked it out. Only the Discovery Show were canceled. So and this is Wikipedia, man. For whatever it's worth. RoadKill Garage, Faster with Newbern and Cotton. I think Hot Rod. Maybe I'm wrong about Hot Rod Garage. I'm pretty sure Hot Rod because that's what Lucky was on. What other ones? I think those were the only Engine Masters. I'm sorry, Engine Masters is one that was canceled before, and I'm not sure if they canceled that because of what's his name? Steve Brule, I think, retired from West Tech, and I think that kind of, I won't say broke that deal, but it was Steve Dulcich. I never can say his name right. David Freiberger and Steve Brule made all these videos on Engine Masters where they would put engines together, test different parts on them, give you the dyno sheets and tell you what they thought was good or bad, what type of oil to use, how much oil to use, high rise, air gap intakes, 4 barrels, 2 6s, whatever, 2 6.2s, whatever it might have been. Crazy show, and I really like to watch them because it's all about the hosts and their interaction with each other, I think, because it's just funny. I don't know the Discovery part of it. I just know I'm really sad that RoadKill and some of those spin-off shows aren't going to be picked up for more seasons. Like I said, I think they've got some in the can, some of them that haven't been released yet. So there's still going to be some coming out. And like I said, I'll probably keep my subscription to Motor Trend or Discovery Plus. It did go to Discovery Plus, which I didn't have to, I don't pay the bills, I'll admit, but I don't think we had to change anything about our subscription. It just, instead of watching it on Motor Trend, the app, you had to go to Discovery Plus and watch it there. And Discovery Plus had all kinds of shows on there. Like I said, some of the other ones. I wish I could remember some of the other ones. Faster and Loud. Some of those car shows. I don't know if Bitchin' Rides is one of them. Texas. I won't say Texas Speed. I don't think that's it. Texas Metal or Loud and Fast. Some of these other ones were on there. I'm throwing shit out. I don't know what I'm talking about. Anyway, support those guys and gals if you want to. Support me if you want to. Leave me a comment. I appreciate MwM coming in. That's cool. Somebody else. Garthog's always a regular. Getting into the chat. It's over an hour. I just like the show, and I know I hadn't talked a lot of it about on my episodes here that I do car stuff because I'm not good at it. But anyway, I appreciate you showing up. Like, subscribe, leave me a comment, join in on the live chat, watch some of the other videos. But I guess maybe next Thursday I'll be back and we'll see what we can get into then. I appreciate everybody. Now if I can get this, see what happens when I hit this button. Hit the button. I'm going to hit the button.